living back in the early days of our nation, had plenty of worries. I recall one woman who never let things get her down. Ann Trotter had plenty of faith and courage, even when the British started paying the Indians to attack settlers. Like lots of women of her time, Ann was left to guard her small log cabin while her husband was off fighting for liberty in the colonial army. When news came that her dear husband had been killed in a terrible Indian battle along the frontier, she promised herself that she would take up where her husband left off to help the Americans against the British during the war. She went about on horseback, telling everyone in the larger settlements that the women and the children needed help way out there alone in the frontier. She had such a way with words that she would even get men to join up and fight. Well, you'd think that they were going to get a deep dish of apple pie and ice cream. In due time, almost all the folks along the backwoods knew of Ann Trotter. Since she knew her way around the Virginia frontier as well as Daniel Boone, settlers asked her to deliver the mail to folks way out west. After delivering the mail or news about the war and whatever else was going on, she would turn about and ride lickety-split off into the deep, dark woods where a wolf's howl or a mountain lion's scream would greet her. A little cave way up nestled in the mountains became one of Ann's favorite stopping places. During the cold, windy, wintry winter, she would bring her horse inside with her, and together they would lay down to keep each other warm. But winter and wild animals was only part of the dangers of being a mountain messenger. The hardest part was riding and dodging Indians. Well, they became mighty curious about the white woman on horseback who was always sneaking in and out of the wilderness as graceful as a deer. Once, Ann had a hard time ditching a couple of Shoshone Indian scouts on her trail. She knew she had to act fast. When she looked around, her eyes caught a sight. It looked like a hollow log. She got herself off her horse and prayed to the Lord. "Oh Lord, let me fit into that log." She crawled inside all right. The Indians, instead of just riding by like she hoped, they got off their horses and started looking in the bushes for Ann. When they finally gave up their search, they were so tired they sat down on the very log that Ann was hiding in. She had a hard time to keep from laughing, too. They finally left her, and she hightailed it home, slick as a whistle and half as noisy. Is it any wonder that they called Ann Trotter the messenger from the wilderness? In John chapter 1, we find an even greater messenger named John the Baptist. In verse 6, it says that John was sent from God to give us the good news that Jesus was the light of the world, and that through Christ we could become children of God. If you think that Ann Trotter's life was adventurous as a messenger, try becoming a messenger of Jesus yourself. The excitement you'll have won't compare to what Ann had. It'll even be greater. Jesus has sent us out into a hostile world to spread the news of salvation to all mankind, of His death and resurrection and their salvation. Tell your friends at school. Tell your parents. Tell whoever you come into that Jesus is Lord. America needs to hear that Jesus Christ is the Lord of all.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, that Jesus Christ is come. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, that Jesus Christ is come. Jesus Christ is come. Jesus Christ